Welcome to Scouching's 2024 Prospect Pipeline Review Series, and what we do in this series is take a look at every NHL team individually and group their prospects into various tiers, and then basically just take a bird's eye view of how things look going into next season. I will say before we get going on the Nashville Predators that the definition of a prospect in my database is players within 5 years of their first year of draft eligibility, and they haven't played more than a full season on an NHL roster yet. I will also say that the tiers start at the top with franchise players, who are players you never ever trade or you just never want to trade. Then you have players in the core tier, which are players that you really like to have on your roster. They're very important. You'd really like to not have to trade them ever, but maybe you could or would have to one day. Then you have the depth category, which are essentially NHL players every day, second, third, fourth line guys who are there and participate and they're good enough to stick in the NHL. Further down the pyramid, we've got the maybes category, which is exactly what it sounds. High upside, low floor players, or low floor players who maybe don't quite have enough to crack the bottom end of an NHL lineup one day, but are still pretty decent options for the future. So let's get right into the Nashville Predators. Starting at the top in the core category, we've got goaltender Yaroslav Askarov and Teddy Stiga. I love Teddy Stiga. I thought getting him in the 50s this year was a massive steal for them. I hope they recognize just how good he could be in the future. There's skill, there's offense, there's defensive play as well. He's just a player that I admire watching every single game I saw him this year. Yaroslav Askarov, he's just a ton of fun. I feel like the athleticism is enough to make it work in the NHL, but he's still probably going to need to rein things in a little bit. He's a bit of a wild man in the crease, but that's okay. I've really liked Askarov when I've seen him, and I feel like his NHL time was also pretty promising from what I saw, and I feel like he could be an important goaltender that takes over for Juuse Saros one day. In the depth category, we've got a really impressive group of players here. I'm still a fan of Fyodor Svechkov, who had a pretty good season with Milwaukee this past year. Luke Evangelista graduated from this tier over the past season. I put Yegor Surin in here as well. I could see him being a really good bottom six wrecking ball player with a bit of skill. Hiroki Gosic is a player I could see playing in a bottom six in the NHL one day. Same goes for Zach LaRue, and maybe Tanner Molendyk ends up in a middle pair somewhere. We've got Matt Wood in here, who I could see being a depth scorer in your top 9 or something like that. There's just a lot of good offensive-leaning players in this tier that I think will help Nashville build for the future. In the maybes category, we've got an interesting group of players here. Leading things off, we've got guys like Miguel Marquez, who are tremendously high upside, but do carry quite a bit of risk there. Felix Nilsson is up the same alley in a different kind of way. Tons of upside. He brings a lot of pace to the game, but I think has some work to do to really gain control of his game at the men's level. Andrew Gibson and Viggo Gustafsson and Jeremy Hansel and Ryan Ufko are all just really solid defensive players who could project to the NHL in some way, in some fashion down the lineup. And a guy like Aiden Fink had a really good rookie season in the NCAA this year with Penn State. I'm still a little hesitant to give him an upgrade from here, but he did have a really good season, and another really good year could certainly move him up in this pyramid. And then moving down to the everyone else category, we have quite a few names here, and that makes sense. It's a pyramid. It's the widest at the bottom. Is it impossible for any of these players to make the NHL? No. The notable one for me down here is Ozzy Weisblatt. I've been a big fan of Weisblatt, but now it seems like maybe Milwaukee is a better fit for him. He wasn't mind-blowingly good there, but whenever I did watch him there, he did not seem that bad, so I'm hoping he can regain some offensive form and push himself further up the depth chart in the future. You've got guys like Luke Prokop down here, you've got Luke Reed down here, you've got guys like Kasper Kulanumi, and all these guys bring some semblance of decent play, but I just feel like there's a long way for them to become NHL players. You've got 3 goaltenders down here as well, and Ethan Hayter, Juha Jatkala, and Jakub Malota. I think all these guys are a bit of a long shot, but that's okay. The NHL's really hard to make, and again, it's not impossible these guys make it. They're just guys to me that fall at the bottom of the pyramid, and that's okay. So the Nashville Predators are looking really good for the future in my opinion, especially at the forward position. If you liked the video, you can click like and subscribe. If you really liked it, you can go to Scouching.ca, where a site subscription gets you early access to content, exclusive written content, as well as access to data tables you won't find anywhere else on drafted and undrafted prospects, and plenty of other cool stuff you can check out at Scouching.ca. So that's it for the Nashville Predators, and next we're going to be looking at the Montreal Canadiens.